Hey there, everybody. Meteorologist Will Haney here. It is Thursday night, May 22nd. We're going to get this conversation started, mostly detailing our cooler pattern as we look ahead to Memorial Day, and also a drier pattern at that. So we're at least going to be seeing some drier conditions, a little bit more sunshine as well, but the cooler air is sticking around. So once we get a few more folks trickling into the room, we'll get the conversation started. I'm going to share this over to my page and we'll go ahead and get things underway. All right. The other thing that we'll touch on is, a week ago tonight, we had that potent line of storms, which brought strong winds, tornadoes to West Michigan, really the entire state, over 200,000 people without power. Late last Thursday night into the early morning hours on Friday, some of those outages lasted even to just a few days ago. So we'll kind of recap that a little bit and talk about the tornado trends in our state and kind of how it compares to average a little bit. All right, let me see if I did this right. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to flip these around. Beautiful sky right now in South Haven. And I noticed last night, we're in that time of year where it is just light out so late. Sunset tonight in Kalamazoo was 9:04, so it was probably a little closer to 9 p.m. At the lakeshore, but we still have that lovely afterglow going on. It was a busy day out there for kite surfing because it was breezy. There were some decent waves. And good evening, Jerry. Hello. You have a great night as well. Good evening in Sturgis, says Carol. Gwen, good evening. Barb, good evening. Rob, I hope you're having a good night. Rob, I'm having a great night, man. Jessica Harthorn and Andy Dominiani and Keith were all emceeing a auction out at the Roof Sit event, which is at Millam and Westnedge. It's a great cause every year. It's an annual fundraiser. I'm blanking on the organization it supports. I want to say it's like Kalamazoo Recovery Network or something like that. That's not right, but they help with just like youth trauma, I think, is my understanding. But it's a great cause. And Jessica was out there and she brought me back. We were all joking about it, but she brought me back an elephant ear. So I'm currently riding that Sugar Buzz and that, I'm hoping rides through the 10 and 11, but we'll see. I might be crashing and burning here soon. It's a dangerous tightrope I'm walking. And where's the heat in Kalamazoo County? Asked Ken Bradshaw Jr. It's nowhere to be seen, Ken. We'll get to that here in just a second. Jesse, hello. In the Berg, Keith and Melissa in the house. We're no longer pug lovers, I see, Keith and Melissa. We're animal lovers. I like that. Carla, hi in West Portage. What up, Carla in West Portage? Dan, Pam, Barb, Keith and Melissa again. All right. Anyway, so South Haven, beautiful. Water temperature 48. There's a beach hazard statement in effect until 2 a.m. in case you're planning a beach night. Not a good night for that. Satellite and radar showing a area of counterclockwise spin off to the east. That's been the kind of pesky low that's been bringing our kind of dreary weather these last couple of days. So as we look off, like I said, across kind of, you can see like the eastern Great Lakes. They're dealing with more of that rain now. And we're just on the outer edge of that. In the last several hours, that clearing, we saw more sun kind of taking over, and that theme continues. So Battle Creek, Calhoun County, I'd say Berry County, Eaton County, still mostly cloudy, maybe a little less so in Berry County. But there are some more clouds that are going to fill in, kind of partly cloudy skies off to the west over Lake Michigan. And so partly cloudy overnight. And I think that theme will hold through tomorrow. Just really quickly, wanted to share this photo. This was submitted to our Chime In page from John Wright out at Gun Lake. I believe this was today. My guess is today, as we did have some breaks in the clouds. But man, what a glorious rainbow right there. I mean, that's like picture perfect. So I'm glad John captured that photo. It's also kind of a full circle moment for Gun Lake because the south part of Gun Lake did experience one of the tornadoes last Thursday. So there was a tornado that touched down kind of on the south part of Gull Lake and then eventually dissipated a little southwest of Hastings. But anyways, here's a look ahead at tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday, just to kind of show you the next 48 hours. Tonight, partly cloudy. I think it's too breezy for any frost concerns tonight. It's possible tomorrow night into Saturday, some outlying low spots may see frost, but I'm still not very convinced. We'll touch on that a little later. Overall, I think we're going to be near 40 degrees overnight each night. I don't think we're going to be quite cold enough tomorrow night for frost, for cold enough for long enough. But anyways, Friday and Saturday, though, we'll still be in the 50s tomorrow. We'll be leaving those 50s behind for Saturday at least, and we do trend warmer into the weekend overall. So that's just like kind of the next 48 hours. As we look at the weekend on the whole, again, we'll start off with a high of 60 on Saturday. We'll do middle 60s on Sunday, upper 60s on Memorial Day. I do think all these days do stay dry as well. But yeah, we're not going to be necessarily poolside on Memorial Day, which I know is kind of a bummer for those of you that have pools. This is kind of like the unofficial kickoff of summer. We will be at some friends that have a pool, so we were hoping for some warmer weather so we could maybe just sit out by the pool. But we'll probably still be doing that, but we just won't necessarily be wearing our swimsuits. Kind of a cooler day overall, and I do think partly to mostly cloudy skies will prevail on Monday. There's a very, very low chance of a shower late in the day, but I'm not even including that in the forecast. It's just something we'll keep an eye on at this point. But yeah, we will at least stay dry. So some good weather for bonfires, for barbecues, just not quite that summer feel that some of us are, I think, craving again. Kathy, hello. Good evening, Sean in Portage. What's up, Sean? Joanne, good evening. I will try to turn the heat up. Joanne, you mentioned the heat. I had to turn, I regretfully had to turn my heat on yesterday morning, with two little ones. For me personally, I'd just bundle up, but my house got down to like 63 degrees. I think when I woke up, I think that was yesterday. So I turned it up to like a whopping 67, but just to get like a little heat going through the house made a big deal, or made a big difference. But yeah, I just felt sympathy for my two little ones. So yeah, we had to turn the heat on. I turned it off today because it got warm enough in our house again, and I think we're good. But I might, maybe in the night through early tomorrow, it might be worth kicking it on just to like those upper 60s. That's all I need. Anyways, just to kind of reiterate that point, high temperatures have really been, I will say for this month, we've been through multiple iterations of above average, below average, above average, below average, which is not all that uncommon. It is fairly often that we see, I would say, like a 5 to 7 day period of warmer than average, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. It's pretty common for us to see these ups and downs. This can be any time of the year, but there are obviously months where it is consistently cold, consistently warm. This month has been a lot of up and down. So you can see a little over a week ago, we were basking in some 80-degree days, some 70s, and since then, not the case. These are high temperatures specific to Kalamazoo, but you can see just a couple days ago was our really cold day, Tuesday, where we only hit a high of 52. Today, we did make an improvement over that, thanks to that late day sun with a high of 59. Now, here is, again, just kind of a closer look, but here's where we're headed with our temperature trends. So the next few days, still in that blue column. Next several days, really. We're looking at one more day again tomorrow in the 50s, then several days in the 60s. It's not until probably towards the end of next week, like next Thursday, Friday, that will even probably break 70 degrees. There's a chance on Memorial Day. There's still a chance we could hit 70 on Memorial Day. I'm cautiously optimistic. We might see some models are kind of warming us up a little bit more on Memorial Day. It does look like rain Tuesday into Wednesday, and then after that, slowly warming things up towards the end of the month. But as you can see here, we're not going to jump back into like the 80s. We're going to be talking just more 70s, which is considered kind of near normal. So overall, a pretty quiet, tame Memorial forecast, just cooler than average overall. Tonight, partial clearing, 40, cold and breezy. Tomorrow will still be breezy too, so that 56 will be a chilly 56. I do think we'll start to see a little bit more sunshine, especially along and south of I-94. Farther north, if you're in Grand Rapids, for example, I would say Berry County, northward, it's a little less likely you'll see as much sun. You'll still have a few breaks probably, but it's looking a little cloudier farther north tomorrow versus farther south. And then let's see. Jesse, hello. Yeah, Joanne, it will be comfortable sitting watching any Memorial Day parades. Yeah, upper 60s at least. with some peaks of sun and probably a little chillier in the morning. It's good hoodie weather, if you ask me. Hello, Kathy, if I missed you earlier. And Jesse said moved 17 years ago from Portage to Vicksburg. Miss all his friends. Ice on the bird bath, not really, but it's cold. True that, Ron. All right, so there's a 7-day beyond Memorial Day, rain Tuesday / Wednesday / maybe Thursday. But I think the most likely time frame right now for some rain is Tuesday afternoon, evening into early Wednesday. Really quickly, because, it's Facebook Live, I have all the time in the world. I'm going to talk through just a couple things regarding last week. If you don't care, shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. If you don't care, bye. But I hope you care because it's kind of interesting. I'm going to talk about some little climatology of tornadoes and also just touch on last week briefly. So, but yeah, kind of concludes our forecast portion of this Facebook Live. We'll end on that. But just for, record-keeping purposes, these were tornadoes a week ago. So we had, again, significant line of storms. Every county, I'm pretty sure every single county in our area, maybe the exception of Berrien County, was under some sort, and I think Berrien Cass, but technically, funny enough, that's like South Bend area, but anyways, that's complicated. So pretty much every county at some point was under a severe thunderstorm warning at the very least, and obviously we had numerous tornado warnings. Keith and I think I didn't even get a number on it. I think we were on air for like 3 straight hours. I think maybe a little bit more than that. I don't know. It's all a blur. But we obviously had a little power flash thing at the TV station as well, which was not fun. But green little triangle / tracks, those are EF1 tornadoes. I believe the strongest, I'm blanking on which one was the strongest specifically, but I think it was a 95 / to 100 mile per hour estimated winds. So decent EF1. Some of the ones I'll mention, the one here, let me use my little pointer guy. This one was the Martin tornado, touchdown in the Martin area. This one was near Sandy Pines Campground, touchdown there, and then pushed farther northeast to the Door area. This one near Zeeland to, I believe, Jamestown Township, I think it is. So that one in southern Ottawa County. This one was Caledonia. There were just so many. This one was near Gun Lake area, and then that was that one I said that kind of pushed a little, it lifted a little kind of west of Hastings. We had one that touched down in Galesburg, pretty significant damage to the Galesburg area, a few neighborhoods there, and then pushed to the west side of Battle Creek near the airport. Never got verification, and I'll have to go through some of the data if they actually surveyed the airport, but based on the debris signature and the velocity signature, I think it could have almost like passed directly over the airport in Battle Creek. I don't know if anyone has any verification of that. This one was just north of Battle Creek, so there were 2 separate tornadoes. These were like the storm like shifted its energy and produced a secondary tornado moments after this one. And then you had this final one that was Charlotte to the Lansing area. That was another stronger EF1. So EF0s, which are a thing, by the way. And some people are always like, what's an EF0 tornado? So anyways, 8, that was just in West Michigan. 8 confirmed by National Weather Service. And then after midnight into the 16th, there were 3 additional tornadoes confirmed out on the east side of the state. So when we look at the year-to-date total, all those icons there represent tornadoes in the state so far this year. And you can see the tally has all been some interesting takeaways, all in the southern part of the state. I would say a majority of those in West Michigan, including 5 in Kent County so far this year. So Kent County takes the top prize for the most tornadoes so far this year. All of them low-end tornadoes. So on the grand scale of tornadoes, they have all been weak tornadoes, EF0, EF1. But our annual average, which does fluctuate because it's kind of a running average. Basically, the Storm Prediction Center, they generate a new map every year, and they look at the last 25 years, and they average it. So in Michigan, the most recent average is 13, but I will say, like, in the last several years, That number has been as high as 16. So it can kind of vary, like somewhere between 13 and 16, if you will, is kind of our average. But the most recent one, we've more than doubled. So we're more than double our typical kind of amount of tornadoes. It's definitely been a very active year. And the fact that we're not even into the summer season yet or the fall season, sometimes we can have severe weather in the fall, is pretty remarkable. So this is another way of looking at it, just like this year on the far right compared to the last 5. Last year and 2023 were both above average seasons. In fact, we've only seen a couple pretty quiet years. 2020, very quiet severe weather season for tornadoes specifically, 2022 as well. But other than that, we've had a lot of active years. Last year was pretty busy here, especially on May 7th, of course. But we've seen 2 high impact weather days, both very similar setups. So the first one we saw this year was March 30th, which was that widespread. I mean, it was like from Lake Michigan to Lake Huron, widespread storms that went across the entire state, very similar to last Thursday, that produced, I believe, I forget the exact number. I think it was like 13 or 14 tornadoes. Don't quote me on that, though. I know this last one in total last week was 11 tornadoes across the state. And I know the 30th event, I think, across the state produced a few more. But anyway, so we've seen 2 very, high impact, over 200,000+ outages across the state. So, and that's like a conservative estimate because that's just consumers energy folks. So yeah, just pretty crazy. It's been active. I did see a post earlier today on Facebook. It's from like some random group. It was like a Michigan group. But anyways, it was like Tornado Alley is shifting and Michigan's a part of Tornado Alley. Not really. There has been some studies that have looked at a possible shift to traditional Tornado Alley. Traditionally, Tornado Alley is kind of thought of as like west/northern Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, kind of parts of like southern Nebraska even, but in parts of southwestern Missouri as well. So it's kind of like a bullseye in that region, primarily Oklahoma, Kansas. There's been some studies that have looked at like a possible shift a little bit farther eastward. But overall, like this post was claiming almost that like Kalamazoo's now in Tornado Alley. Not really. We still pale in comparison to the number of tornadoes they see in that part. There is some, based on some quick glances at the data, it looked like maybe there is a slight trend upward, but not, in my opinion, significant enough. In fact, I think it was like a 10 or 12% increase in Michigan. And that data gets a little sketchy because when you think about it, tornadoes, we have way better radar technology to detect them. We have way more people aware. We have more phones, more cameras, and just overall better like awareness / the ability to detect and survey tornadoes. So, if you were to take a really quick glance at like tornado data without any critical thinking, you'd be like, oh my gosh, tornadoes are like, we're seeing way more tornadoes over time. But a lot of that is just better reporting of tornadoes, if that makes sense. So tornado data is a little sketchy in that way, and you kind of have to view it with a critical lens, and you definitely have to make sure you're getting your weather information from a good source. So anyways, just thought I'd mention that. All right, I'm going to really quickly recap by just a quick glance at that 7-day, and then I got to run. I got to run and do some things for the 10. I bet it was, Keith and Melissa, and it's unreal amount of tornadoes across the state so far. It really is, and it's been a very active year. I wish that we see no more. It'd be great. It'd be great if we could just nip it in the bud right here, not have to deal with any this summer or this fall. Mikey Lewis, what's up? Happy Thursday, man. And sounds like some baby goats are leaving on Tuesday next week for their new home. That's exciting, Jesse. And let's see. Hello, Jeanette in Coldwater. Sturgis graduation was a bit chilly tonight. I bet, Marissa. Yeah, you got to kind of layer up for that. Anyways, let's see. All right. Well, I'm going to sign off. So yeah, Memorial Day, upper 60s. We are dry, partly to most cloudy. Chance of showers Tuesday and Wednesday, and then even into Thursday as well. All right. Auf Wiedersehen. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you at 10 on the Arc, and then 11 on West Michigan. You're welcome, Sandra. You know, it's easy, Sandra, to see those posts and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't think I lived in Tornado Alley. Now I live in Tornado Alley, and start to like panic, right? Especially there's a heightened sense of that locally because we have seen a lot of tornadoes, including very significant EF2 last year, of course, in Portage. So we do have a heightened level of storm anxiety, as I would refer to it. So sometimes those posts can be like actually kind of traumatizing for certain people because they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know we're living in Tornado Alley. So I wanted to kind of like clarify that. You know, Kansas, Oklahoma, they see like in an average year, I don't even remember what the number is. I want to say Kansas is like 200 something tornadoes in a given year. I could be wrong. I might have made that up. Hold on. I can probably find this out. And then I'm going to go. Let's see. How quickly can Will find this? Bear with me. I don't want per month. Oh, here we go. Okay, that didn't take long. Okay, watch this. Watch this. It's going to be magic, y'all. Okay, hard to see, admittedly. Let me make this bigger. So this is the Storm Prediction Center. Average annual number. Okay, I totally made that up. I lied. It's probably a record that's sticking out in my head. So I said like over 200 tornadoes a year. They probably have seen that in maybe 1 year. I totally made that up. Maybe I'm thinking of Texas. So this is why I shouldn't spout off random facts from my brain. But this is why I'm clarifying, because I knew that didn't sound right. So Kansas, though, still, look at the comparison. Like Kansas in the last 25 years averages 82 tornadoes a year. Oklahoma, 69 tornadoes a year. Texas, 133. Now, granted, Texas is literally like triple plus the size of the previous two states I just mentioned. But you can see my cursor, right? Majority of those, by the way, would happen, well, not a majority necessarily, but most are going to happen kind of like in the northern/northwestern part of Texas. That's like Tornado Alley, if I were to draw it, is kind of right there. It's kind of like a bullseye over the Central Plains. There's a secondary Tornado Alley, sometimes referred to as Dixie Alley, down here across portions of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and kind of southern Tennessee. That's where some more reliable studies that I'm more familiar with have seen a more consistent shift. Like, so what we're seeing is some of the ingredients are moving from here to a little bit eastward over time, which is certainly interesting. But like Michigan, 13 tornadoes average a year. Yes, could that, the next iteration of this data that will be coming out, next year when it includes 2025, we could see that go up to like 14 or 15. But again, like that's nothing compared to like true Tornado Alley. You know what I mean? So anyways, food for thought. All right, that was a fun tangent, but I'm going to sign off. Now I'm trying to figure out why I said there were 200 tornadoes in a year in Kansas. I wonder what the state record is. Okay, can't go down that rabbit hole right now, but maybe another time. But anyways, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. And my ADHD brain is going to sign off so I can go work and get things done before the 10. But thank you guys so much. And let's hope my sugar high from Jessica Harthorn's elephant ear that she gifted me doesn't wear off. All right. Bye, everybody.